And we are live from Space Coast Podcast Studios right here in Melbourne, Florida. And this is our very first episode of your Melbourne Mayor Monday, coming live to you every Monday night. And with me again is Mayor of Melbourne, Paul Alfrey. How are you, Paul?
I'm doing great. Good evening.
Let's kick this off. We have a very hot topic, so we'll save any pleasantries for later. I want to remind all the viewers, however, you're able to put in some comments, questions, anything else. We may or may not go ahead and address those here live on the show, but certainly we love the engagement, and certainly your opinion matters. So right. We're going to do this together. The topic tonight is homelessness. Mm-hmm. We got Jeff Njus of Daily Bread also with us. So, Paul, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah, thank you. You know, first off, I appreciate you producing this, Jesse.
Yeah.
You're a very good professional, and you're the right man for the job. But, you know, one of the things that, being Mayor of Melbourne, I definitely want to be able to get the message out of what not only the city is doing, but hear from our residents on issues and challenges facing our city. So, one of the biggest complaints you hear about elected officials is you only reach them around election time when they're knocking on your door for your vote, and then after that you don't hear from them, and that's right. Common. And the reality is the way you're going to really fix issues and address problems is listening to the residents and their problems and their complaints. So, I thought what's the best way instead of going out on Monday night and doing, Mayor's Monday and kind of doing a podcast and a live Facebook and kind of tell our residents what's going on. And I think we can all agree there's one of the hottest topics nationwide, not just in the city of Melbourne, is homelessness.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm sure lots of people have ideas of what could help. And of course, listen, if it was a profitable industry, it would be solved, right? But there's really very little profit in helping people secure homes and finding people places to live. Certainly, there are safety issues and other things we have to worry about with some of the encampments. And I know some of the pictures you have posted on Facebook have gotten a rousing, effect, and people have, it's emotional.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we want to see other people not be stuck in the cold. We want to see families under a roof.
Well, and I'm the type of mayor is really, I'm trying to be realistic here, and people, you only see with what you want to see. We kind of get blinders on, and this is a reality. The pictures that I post of the issues, right. I mean, they're real issues. I mean, and if you get out of your car during traffic or whatever, I mean, you'll see the same thing. And although it may be unpopular, I didn't get elected to be mayor to just go to ribbon cuttings. I got elected to solve problems, and these are real problems, and hopefully we'll be able to discuss on some of the things the city, me and my fellow council members are doing to solve this problem in the city of Melbourne.
Yeah, so let's start with why have you partnered with Jeff?
Well, when I got first in office, when I ran for mayor, I noticed that's one of the biggest issues, and I'm not going to point fingers or mention names, but
right.
The original way Melbourne solved homelessness was removing park benches downtown Melbourne, and that's being realistic. And again, this is not a slight on anybody, but that's kind of it's a very tough problem. Matter of fact, I've had mayors say, "Why are you even touching that political football?" Because that's not one you want to run with, and maybe they're right, but at the end of the day, that doesn't solve problems. So the reality is, over many years, there hasn't been big, real good partnerships. And at one time, the city of Melbourne was kind of at odds with Daily Bread, was kind of at odds. And really, in order to solve this problem that affects everyone, homelessness affects everyone, not just, everybody. And in order to do that, you got to have partners. You have to have a plan. You got to have partners. And really, in my opinion, Daily Bread, Jeff Njus is here. We met many times. We've talked about homelessness. He's educated me on many things because he's a professional, and I listen. So that's part of having a plan on what we want to do. And I believe we have a plan because Melbourne is on the forefront of really being the only city in Brevard County that funds case management, street-based case management. So, and that's just one little sliver of it. But it all goes in hand with affordable housing. It goes with homelessness, mental health issues. And I can't argue with someone that says, well, Brevard really doesn't have the proper resources. What I found when I got in office was the left hand did not know what the right hand was doing.
Gotcha.
And that's why, I had called for the city council, was it last May, a special meeting for our council members and all our stakeholders to come in and let's discuss this issue. And it was kind of a very contentious meeting because people felt like, but at the end of the day, we hashed out a lot of problems, and the city of Melbourne has now hired a liaison that really kind of helps and works with our nonprofit partners and our stakeholders. So that's one of the reasons. And this podcast, this is part of getting the message out on what we do, because some people see the enforcement side. There's always an enforcement side and cleaning up our streets, because I will tell you this, the residents deserve a clean city. People complained, but I'm trying to put it all together and make it work so we do truly address homelessness.
Yeah, well, downtown Melbourne seems to be a place where not only is the Daily Bread located, but also the Seat of Mission, and so there are resources there. And of course, downtown you have it seems to always kind of come up with some of the tenants there, some of the shop owners and some of the restaurants there, and it's you're intermingling with some of these folks, and the panhandling. I think we all seen the panhandling, and we all have an opinion about that, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about partnerships, how much are the partners actually able to do, and are you guys funded well? I mean, so what are the shortcomings that you guys find in kind of on the beat, like right there, surrounded with it all day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jesse, you're asking the question that draws us right to where we make an impact on homelessness.
Right.
You talk about business leaders downtown, and Mayor Alfrey, you talk about what you and other city leaders are doing. This is the way we address the challenge of homelessness. Mm-hmm. Homelessness is the kind of issue that can only be addressed in a comprehensive way when the whole community comes together. Right. Just like you said, Paul, it affects everyone in our community, and so it takes all of us coming together to address. Nonprofits like Daily Bread, we have a key role in partnerships,
right?
But we can't do it alone. I mean, sometimes people have said to me, it seems like an overwhelming problem, and it can seem overwhelming at times. But what I look at it as more as, no, it's just a problem that we're not going to try to tackle on our own.
Right.
But we're going to look for partnerships in city with other agencies. We have a great partnership with the police. Mm-hmm. That's something that Melbourne, that we have going for us. We have partnerships that have been built over the years that are bearing fruit in very positive ways now. Mm-hmm. Paul, you mentioned that a little while back, maybe a good while back now, there was a more of a contentious relationship sometimes between Daily Bread and our neighbors, and Daily Bread and the city, as we looked at different possibilities for moving or expanding. It didn't go as well as it might have. Mm-hmm. Well, there's been a lot of water under the bridge over the years, and we are working better with Melbourne than we ever have. There's funding that's been made available. There's communication that's happening in a lot of different levels. Mm-hmm. And most exciting to us is plans for the future that are really based on that partnership.
Well, I think the plans for the future is what everybody wants to see. We're seeing, I don't want to say a crisis, but affording a home is getting tougher.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Wages aren't really keeping up with the cost of housing, and that's like nationwide. Mm-hmm. There's still some very affordable parts of Florida, but Brevard County's becoming less and less one of those places. And it's exciting for us. We're able to see, some equity, and people are getting, their properties are appreciating, and things are nice. Tax base is increasing, so, along with that. Now, of course, how much of those property taxes are going to be, help to fund homelessness? How much, where are the funds going to come from besides the private donors? Because even though there's more people coming into our area and so forth, it's also a very attractive place for homeless because it is just a mild climate year round, and so forth. So people, again, whether they're destitute, mental health, whatever the case may be, there's only so much places. I know Salvation Army does an amazing job with getting families and single moms in a place, but there's still lots of people who just are not able to get a roof over their head. Mm-hmm. So what is a long-term solution, and where would you like to see? Like, how can the people help today?
You're exactly right. It's about housing, and we have seen a housing crisis develop, and it affects all levels of society. It's people looking for affordable housing.
Right.
It's people looking for any housing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it's hard to find a house that you can purchase.
Right.
The market is strong and it's quick. So that affects people that are looking for affordable housing in a big way. And the number one driver in homelessness is availability of housing. When I look at 90% of the people that are coming to Daily Bread every day, if they could find a place that they could afford on a month basis, they'd be off the streets just like that.
Right.
They might need a little boost, a little bit of help. There are other people that are dealing with other complex issues. You mentioned mental health issues. We also have drug addiction issues. Those issues that kind of come together around homelessness to make it more complicated to address. But the number one issue is housing. And so if we can increase affordable housing in our community, that's what will make the biggest long-term distance. That's more than just a Band-Aid. That's a real long-term solution.
And I'll say, my one part of my plan on this, and the city council has unanimously adopted, unanimously adopted the plan. Part of the plan even is, first off, is some kind of comprehensive facility. There's places like in Gainesville that has Grace Marketplace that, they address certain things with homelessness or mental health or job training and so forth. So one of the things that we've been trying to work on now, and Jeff and I have been in front of, the Palm Bay City Council as well, is trying to do a partnership and helping the Daily Bread become that comprehensive facility. Because if you would look at what Daily Bread has been around for over 30 years, and they now have gone from 1 to is it 8 now? Eight
social workers.
Yeah, 8 caseworkers. So they have the resources. They don't, and they're building their 2-to-1 office, and that's something that we need in Brevard, and especially South Brevard, is a comprehensive facility. And be on council. Part of the CARES Act money is my council unanimously adopted the fact that we moved $2.5 million over into helping fund this comprehensive facility, which the Daily Bread would become. Palm Bay has shown interest. I hope they do accept that, because homelessness, Palm Bay is a great city. They're probably about 5 to 7 years behind the City of Melbourne on economic development. And as they clear lots, as they clear, wooded areas, they're going to see the problem is greater than they realize. And again, I hope that the Palm Bay and other areas pitch in through with the CARES Act money. If we did that, we could have a comprehensive facility that the caseworkers could help people, so they could come in and, if you need temporary housing or something, and it would have a homelessness or temporary housing component, we could do that. What I've also, tomorrow night at the council meeting, part of that CARES Act money is we're going to be discussing also using $1.5 million into addressing more affordable housing in Melbourne. So we're really working with solutions. But if you were, and it might not be popular to say, but if you go to the Brevard County Jail and you're there and you go to leave and everything come to Melbourne. I mean, at the end of the day, other cities are going to have to pony up and understand that this is a regional issue. And no offense to any elected official, but if I'm out here busting my butt and working with and trying to solve the problem, they have people that need help too, and they should be able to get help in their city through a partnership with us. So I can't do it alone. My council can't do it alone, and our city can't do it alone. So I'm really begging that some of these elected officials not piecemeal or just spend that money unwisely. And if you were to ask some of these elected officials, what are you doing with some of the CARES Act money?
Right.
We're going to throw here, some there. That's not going to solve the problem, because I'm a realist. If you honestly think people aren't going to have problems with this housing market, and the foreclosures are coming, the evictions are coming, and if we have to prepare and double down and plan and make a plan and not just not just blow it off. So we have that golden opportunity now, and I'm going to continue to fight for that. So the less fortunate and the people that need help in our community, they have an avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you talk about the CARES Act funding and the American Rescue Plan Act funding, I think it's important for everybody to understand that this is a unique opportunity. And,
Absolutely.
And what you have done and what the Melbourne City Council has done is said, we want to take advantage of these millions of dollars that are coming to our community that are meant to address the repercussions of COVID and not just the health crisis, but the economic fallout of that. And you want to do something big. And Palm Bay has said the same. When we went to the city council there, they made it clear they want to use this opportunity to do something big. And so I do hope this can be a time when cities come together, when the county gets involved. Homelessness is not a localized problem. It's a regional problem. It's a national problem, and we need to look at all levels coming together to address it.
Yeah, and if you were to look, if you think of $2.5 million, I mean, that's quite a bit of money, but that is only about 17% of money that was given to us by the federal government that we didn't need. I mean, the city of Melbourne is financially, financially sound, physically responsible. We didn't really ask for that. So why would you not use money that was gifted to you, whether, and people have said, why don't you just give that back to the federal government? Right. No, I think if anything, we're going to talk about revamping our parks. Our children should have a nice park to go to and a safe park. Right. Our residents deserve that. And honestly, if the federal government's going to throw money away, and they throw a lot of money away, exactly. By God, I'm going to use it in our community and spruce up and make our city the best place to live for our residents.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the way to look at it. We want to use this money to make a difference. The way I look at it is we're kind of getting ahead of the curve. Homelessness is a challenge right now for us. But when we look at where the housing market is now, when we look at trends nationally, in our state, and even locally, it's not going to get easier on its own to deal with. If we can get ahead of the curve now and make a major investment to address homelessness and affordable housing, we can do something now where we'll be in a point 5 or 10 years from now if we don't act now, and we'll have to do something, and it'll be a larger investment. It'll be more expensive because we won't be ahead of the curve.
Well, and I want to throw something out there at you, and this is being real. Not only does the homelessness issue affect the city and our residents, but it's probably around 30% of our police and fire calls with the quality of life, suspicious people or park issues, or that's I'd say around 30%. Not to mention, it's a major strain on the city to clean up after parks. I mean, I don't know how many people that have told me, I can't go to parks with my kids on B Avenue because of the garbage and the people laying on the park benches and stuff. So at the end of the day, the way you fix that problem is to me, in my opinion, it's twofold. You have a comprehensive facility somewhere where somebody can go, look, I would rather go see Jeff Njus and get help than deal with Mayor Paul Alfrey. And that's being frank with you, and that's to be honest. And I think, we could play good cop, bad cop, but at the end of the day, I think it's a great plan, and really people ask me, well, why Daily Bread? Why? And I ask them, why not? I mean, if you have another or better group that's ready to take the reign, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but I mean, your board unanimously agreed to take that step to do more, because you are doing more. I mean, you're no longer a soup kitchen when it came years ago. I have the honor and privilege to help with serving food whenever you have an event. I like to get in there because at the end of the day, I want to be a part of, and I want to learn. I want to see what's going on, and that's why, look, I don't want to be on the forefront and welcome people. I'd rather be back there washing dishes, because at the end of the day, you see what impact you have, and frankly, I'll challenge anybody. I mean, Daily Bread has an amazing impact on our community. It's well run, and really the relationship between you and Steadytown and all the other groups that you guys, it's amazing. I mean, you guys work great together. So we're very comfortable with you and what you've done, and really you're one of many, but you're one of the good ones.
Yeah, it was great having you there at Christmas and Thanksgiving serving dinners. I know you were a little disappointed that you didn't get to go to the dish pit and wash dishes all day.
I said I'll wash dishes, I need to wash my hands anyways.
So we did make this transformation, really, especially in the last 3 years, to be what we call a housing-focused homeless outreach center. So not just trying to put a Band-Aid on it and make people more comfortable in their homeless situation, but be more comprehensive and find solutions to people's homeless situation. That means helping people get off the street, helping people find their own place. And over the last 3 years, we've helped over 300 people do just that. It takes a lot of hard work, and so we did add to our team. So we went from having 1 social worker to now having 8 to help make that move. But we are busting at the seams.
Oh yeah.
We can't do more where we are. And honestly, I don't know if we're in the best location. I would say this is not the best place on Fee Avenue, a couple of blocks north of downtown, to have a full-service homeless outreach center. We need more room. We need a place that's where we can better serve our neighbors. I mean, we have a great community. I can't stress enough the support that we have for Daily Bread. For over 30 years, people have supported us. And in 2020, when the COVID pandemic began, there was an outpouring of support. I think people knew that Daily Bread was going to help people in greatest need, and when their hearts went out to the most vulnerable, they supported us and they increased, and that's part of what helped us to grow. So now we're ready to take a step. Our board did vote unanimously, and it's not just about Daily Bread. I mean, we are working in partnership with other agencies. There's a lot of great work happening. The Brevard Homeless Coalition is growing stronger. That's a comprehensive county-wide effort to address homelessness in our community, and other great agencies in Melbourne and Palm Bay. But we need a place. We need something comprehensive. It can't just be, like you said, piecemeal.
Right.
We need to come together.
And and like, for example, where you are, it's such a small place, and then the gate closes at 2:00, and then people are on the sidewalk. They go to the parks. And at the end of the day, that to me, that's not dignity. A lot of these people, they need that structure, that I needed as a youth when I went in the military. I needed that, and I got that structure, and they need that, to have the ability to get some job training, and maybe have a liaison or somebody that their big brother or big sister, and to help them, and really have employers that will say, look, we need good employees, and we understand that you might not be able to pass a drug test at first, but we're going to work with you and get you into your own home. And then also, like you said, that center needs to have some kind of bridge housing, something like that somebody works their way into affordable housing, and that's on us in the city to work on getting more affordable housing, and we're going to do that. And I I went on the affordable housing committee, and one of the things our committee, and it's a totally separate board in the city, we've changed the rules on affordable housing. And but before, when you built a house, you had to have a garage. I mean, when you're building affordable housing, why not have a duplex? I mean, if you have a mom and a child, or kids, I mean, she's more worried about having somewhere for her children to sleep than having a garage. And when you can have a carport, I mean, where I live, I have a carport. I don't have a garage because it was converted many years ago. So we've changed so many rules. We've changed the changed the square footage. But we still have a lot of work to do, and again, I think it comes back to homelessness and addressing that need in our community.
Yeah, you talk about job training and addressing addiction issues. So we do have a housing focus at Daily Bread, but it's not only about housing. It's really about a comprehensive way to address all the issues that a person facing homelessness is dealing with. And employment is a key one. Whether it's increasing your income through maybe somebody is disabled, but they don't have access to Social Security disability. We help connect people to that. Maybe somebody's doing day labor. Well, we can help them improve and maybe learn a trade and get connected to a career instead of just a day job. we're beginning a job training in our kitchen. You know, we've got a fine restaurant level kitchen. We are proud of passing our health inspections just like the finest restaurants in town. We pride ourselves that it's not just quantity but quality. That's the best free meal in town. Jesse, you have to come and try it.
Well, I'll probably serve before I eat there.
So why not take this facility and use it to train people to work in the kitchens in our many restaurants in our community that are struggling to find workers?
They can't find workers, and again, it's about training. And you know, I think we have to have this comprehensive facility, and when you're piecemealing everything and you throw money that way, throw money this way, I mean, you got to have some point. You know, when I became mayor, the first thing, you know, I asked, well, and I kind of knew the answers, and it was like, hey, where does somebody go if they need something? You know, 211. Well, I've heard, you know, that doesn't always work, you know, and I'm like, why isn't it on our city website? I mean, I started asking a bunch of questions, so now it is. Some of that stuff, and on top of the list is Daily Bread. I mean, you know, that's something that, you know, it's got to be available. I mean, just to say, well, there's all these places around. Well, I mean, let's just hope someone doesn't have to try and see if it really works. But you know, I think with that comprehensive facility and really, Jeff, I've seen with what you guys are doing and putting people and, you know, working with them and seeing these, you know, residents get homes for the first time, and it's amazing because it's how many people have y'all put in homes so far? What do you think?
So it's over 300 in the last 3 years that we've helped get to find their own place. Now, some of that is buying somebody a bus ticket or a plane ticket to get to family in another state.
Sure.
We don't want a lot about being homeless is being stuck. We don't want somebody to be stuck on the streets of Melbourne. If we can help them get to their cousin or get to their mother up in another state,
well, and that's support.
We'll make that investment.
Right, and that's support too.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean,
and others, it's supportive housing where they've got a social worker that's helping them with maybe a subsidy, maybe a voucher that helps pay part of their rent. So those different ways, we've helped over 300 in the last 3 years to make that transition from the streets to getting their own place.
Yeah, and we have a lot of work to do. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And you know, we'll get back into what the City of Melbourne do. You know, I'm very fortunate to serve as mayor and have an amazing council, because I think, you know, having that initial meeting that you were there and we were all there and you know, it was a lot of sweat and people were, you know, we asked questions and wondered how we could do things and pick people's brains, but you know, it really kind of served a path, because, you know, we have a lot of work to do, and part of that again is the funding. The funding is there, and again, I can't stress enough that we need Palm Bay, we need West Melbourne, we need Brevard County. We need to come together and have a comprehensive facility. I was, you know, when I was researching Grace Marketplace up there in Gainesville, I mean, they have an amazing number that they've done on homelessness. If you look at that, I mean, you know, you have somewhere that you can go, you know, and start out and go, you know, I have an alcohol addiction problem, say that, or whatever. You can go there and get that, because again, that will be big in this community, and that's what we need, and that's what hopefully you'll become.
Yeah, that's a model for us, what they're doing up in Gainesville, in a couple of ways. One, they've got a great trajectory of how to help somebody get from homelessness into getting stable, permanent housing. That's always got to be the goal.
Yeah.
And they make it happen. But another model that they have is that partnership in funding. We do get a lot of funding from families in our community, individuals that just care. A large percentage of our funding comes from that. But that's not enough to really make this comprehensive difference. In Gainesville, they have the city partnering with the county and private funds to make that work. And we can do that here. In this community, I've always been amazed by what happens when we sit around the table and talk about what we want to do. Sometimes the conversations can start kind of tense. I mean, people may have had a bad experience with someone who's been at their front door homeless, or at a street corner, or coming to their business. And they might have some very strong feelings about it. But when we sit around the table and talk about how to address it, I've been amazed at the outcomes of those conversations, and the way that this community, people really do want to roll up their sleeves and say, let's do this, let's make a difference. People care about our community, and we want to make it better.
Yeah, and it's also part of response to a lot of the residents. You just what you kind of mentioned. We get a lot of complaints from residents on homelessness, and it when it starts affecting them, the emails start flying and the phone starts ringing, and again, if we don't address it from the root of the problem, then it's only going to get worse. Because you can easily argue and look around at other cities in the country, and maybe they didn't start when it started getting bad, or they've let it get out of control. I'm not looking at Melbourne to be out of control, and I'm the type of person that says, look, we're gonna have rules. We're going to have structure. Our residents deserve a clean city, and they want a clean city. And part of that, is the homelessness issue, because you have some people, and I'm going to call it what it is. Some people want to live off the grid. They don't want to be responsible. They want to just go on a corner and get a buck and go get alcohol. And part of the enforcement part, I believe, will kind of wake them up and do that. They'll really have no choice. And again, they get to choose between Jeff or Paul. And I think people will talk about Jeff. And I will say one more thing. And we had a conversation at council a few meetings ago with even working with our city attorney, getting with the judges and having, somebody goes to jail, having some kind of, intervention program or something that, so people, don't get, in an issue where they're going to jail for something, that they can instead get help and kind of clean themselves up. So really, again, this was about what the City of Melbourne is doing. We're doing, in my opinion, amazing things, and we're going to do more. I think we're just on the cusp of kind of leading the county. One of the reasons too, one of the things I took this by the horn. Really, I kind of see a lot of people just, I don't know if they know what to do. There was an article that came back, Kim sent me, a friend of mine, she sent me, and it was pretty impressive to read how, or actually I shouldn't say impressive, it was sad to read that many of the mayors don't know how to handle this issue. A lot of the city governments don't know how to handle this issue. They don't. And I think the number one issue would be funding, and that funding is available. And it's going to be a darn shame if cities waste all their money. Not against City of West Melbourne, but they want to build a water plant. At the end of the day, that's their money. Well, that's the taxpayers' money, but I think at the end of the day, they need to be a partner with us, because they have they're a great city and they have the same problems we do. Hope we agree. What do you think, Jesse?
Well, it is a group effort. Listen, if you guys are able to solve homelessness, well, the homeless are going to respond, and they're going to come from Titusville and Palm Bay, and they're going to seek the help as well. They're going to like, oh, well, Melbourne's figured it out. Let's all go there. And so we're just going to adopt and attract other homeless, because now we solved, that for us. But listen, it's there's so many different levels, and I'm so glad that we're getting the engagement. A lot of praise, for us, kind of coming out here and having this honest, discussion and speaking the mind. So thank you everybody who's been contributing with letting us know, giving us feedback. So listen, it is tough. It's a multifaceted approach, and yeah, we need the money. So I would say, as we wind down, I would say, what are some call to action, for the residents, for business owners, because we're growing, we're getting hotels, the airport's improving. We're going to have more visitors here. Why, is there a solution from that, from some of the business owners, and maybe an impact fee, if a business does move to Melbourne, maybe they contribute, to a line item that helps, secure funds for what you guys are trying to do. There's so many different things that we could go over, and again, I think this is just one
Well, let me throw in that's a good point. I mean, at the end of the day, many businesses, and this is kind of irks me. Sometimes people will be like, "Oh, businesses, they got all the money." Well, a lot of the businesses in town are mom and pop businesses.
Right.
Because frankly, Jesse, you're a small business here, and I don't see you driving a Ferrari. I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of them are struggling, and they're looking for good employees. I think at the end of the day, you have to break the problem down to solve it. What is the problem? The problem is there's no comprehensive facility. The government has been piecemealing everything for years. They throw funding out here. And frankly, a lot of places they spend money. You can easily argue that that's not a good place for money to go. You see projects. I'll throw this out, and hopefully I'll anger some people. But I remember when I'd put a social media post up. The government, the state government, was going to spend $1.3 million to rip out the trees on Pineapple, 100-year-old oak trees to put a 1-mile bike path. What the hell are you thinking? And this is my podcast, so I can curse, but I mean, seriously, that, and of course, we told in Melbourne, and I think it was a monumental victory for the city of Melbourne. Me as mayor, I'm like, you can keep your money, state. we're not ripping out all these trees. We want to have green. We want to have trees in the city of Melbourne.
Yes,
they came back and said, oh well, then if you want to, you can keep the money, do something similar to the project, and we did, and we're focusing, I'll get on another podcast, but we're focusing on low impact development where there's better drainage and more planters, and instead of forcing the water to the Indian River Lagoon, you're bringing it down and treating it at site. But that's for another show, or discuss that. But again, it's about the use of the money, and the money is available now. We at the City of Melbourne has put $2.5 million. We're going to talk for the comprehensive facility. Palm Bay got nearly $20 million. So, I mean, if they were to invest, like, let's say $2.5 million and be a partner with us, I mean, you're talking about less than 15% of money given to them by the federal government that they weren't expecting to get to help their residents. And I truly believe, the Palm Bay Council, they know how important this kind of facility would be. And really, again, you can't have one city try to solve the problem. People ask me all the time, why Palm Bay? Well, Palm Bay, number one, is the largest city in the county. I mean, they got the most residents, they got the most square mileage. They're really working hard to get economic development, right behind Melbourne. And as they grow, you're going to see Malabar, you're going to see a lot of these areas start, turn into, businesses or whatever, or homes, and you're going to lose green space. When you lose green space, then you're going to have more issues and people being priced out of the market. So really, Palm Bay, West Melbourne, Brevard County, even the smaller, go beachside. I don't know how many people contact me and say, we have a major problem with homelessness here. And I'm like, guess what? You're not in Melbourne.
Right.
Unfortunately, you're 2 blocks away. And so it's not a city problem. It's a regional problem. It's a countrywide. It's a national problem. So again, I need the assistance of other local governments to join with me to do this and have this conversation. And unfortunately, I don't like the traction that I'm getting because everybody kind of like they're. Nobody wants to touch the homelessness issue. I'm going to be frank here. It's my podcast. I can be frank. Mm-hmm. It's a political football. One mayor told me that's a political football. I don't know why you would touch that. Well, we can't have that damn mentality here if we're going to solve the problem. I mean, we can't do that. We really have to have these conversations.
Yeah, and when you talk about what are the steps that make a difference? One step that's being taken, which I certainly appreciate, is we're not trying to figure it out on our own. We're not just working off the top of our heads. We're looking to other communities to build that engagement. Unanimous support from the City Council at Melbourne, and unanimous support from Palm Bay for using a major chunk of the monies that they've received to address homelessness. Still deciding how to divvy that out, but there's that commitment to address homelessness. And then we are we as a community, we at Daily Bread, are saying what's working in other places. We're not just going to do something for the sake of checking a box that we've done something for homelessness. We want to find out what's working. We want to learn from other communities. And Daily Bread isn't. We're not. I'm not some genius with homelessness that knows the magic formula to fix it. No, but I love learning from others and learning what they're doing here and there and putting together something that's going to work for our community. That's what's exciting to me about what's possible now.
Well, and I will tell you too, part of this, and I notice what I love about the Daily Bread and some of our other partners, not just Daily Bread, but even being there when I'm serving a meal and stuff, we have too many volunteers on those days. I mean, I'm not complaining that people in our community want to help. And it's like, hey, we need 20 volunteers, and what do we have show up? 40? And it was a good problem to have, because and that's why if you have some kind of facility like that, the community wants to get involved. They really they want to help. But we can't have elected officials out here just worried about going to a damn ribbon cutting, and that's being frank. I mean, if I'll challenge the other elected officials, if you want to do a ribbon cutting, let's do a ribbon cutting for a new comprehensive facility. Is that fair? And that's all. I mean, I'm saying out of respect for other elected officials. I'm not. Melbourne's great. I have great council members. I got a great city and great staff. But I'm just saying I go to other cities and they're they're like, well, have your staff call our staff. Whoa. I mean, we need to have the conversation and let's do this. And I had a lunch meeting, and I'm gonna call him out right now. I had a lunch meeting, a couple of weeks ago with Kenny Johnson over at Palm Bay, and Kenny understood it. I'm like, hey man, and he's like, let's do something, and I'm like, well, you need to, let's get back and get this done. So I know, and he agreed with me. It would be monumental if we could get this done, and somewhere that Palm Bay, Melbourne, that you could go and get the assistance you need and get started on the right path, get referred out or whatever. So, I really, again, that's all joking. I appreciate Palm Bay and I appreciate all the other councils, but again, don't blow that money right now on stuff that you don't need. I'm just saying we have a golden opportunity here.
Yeah, matching funds would be great.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
we have a golden opportunity, and we have a community that wants to make that difference. I mean, the political will right now is very strong, and the will of the community. I mean, we talk about people concerned and complaining about homelessness, but I notice when you scratch the surface with a lot of that concern or complaint, it's somebody who sees another person who's down and out, maybe on a corner, maybe on a sidewalk, and their heart aches, and they want to do something about it, and that's where it starts, and now we need the follow through. Okay, we as a community, we're deciding to do something to make that difference.
And I'll look at it. I'll speak from another standpoint. And what about the business owner that's got to come in and there's they got to clean up after the mess, or their water's been turned on, and so really again we all feel the effects. Our parks, our police, our fire all night. I mean, our fire guys all night going and. Because somebody will be found in the middle of the road. Why? Because there's no comprehensive facility. I'm just saying. But, right. I mean, our fire guys will have to get up 2 o'clock in the morning and go respond to that. And, I mean, we're dispatching a fire truck. And that's what's really costing the residents. If the residents look at this and said, well, that's a lot of money. You are already paying a lot of money.
Right.
You're paying for the services. And, and again, we gotta start from the bottom. We got to start from the root of the problem, and that's the lack of the facility here in South Brevard.
So that'll mean two things. One, a kind of initial investment from our community to say, let's build something that will make a difference. And then there's the second phase of funding, which is how can we fund this annually? Jesse, you had a great idea about impact fees. We'll keep your name on that.
Well, I'm sure the businesses moving here wouldn't like to see that, but they are essentially coming and they're bringing the jobs. They're gonna do well. They're gonna pay also property taxes and other things. But even if it's just, if it's just more, if it's just a little bit more, a hotel, maybe $1,000 per room.
Right. Well,
maybe just a one-time thing when they build.
I mean, it's an impact fee, because homelessness is having an impact on businesses. I mean, it's true. Right. It's sad but true. We are not unfeeling about the impact that homelessness is having on businesses in our community. It's having that impact. So can we flip that around and use some of the funds in a positive way, with some kind of impact fee to address homelessness on an ongoing basis? And likewise, as you mentioned, Paul, with the budgets of our fire departments, our police departments, our parks, those are being spent on homelessness. If we can get those folks off the street, can we have an investment of those in an annual budget? Right now, and I have to say, right now, Melbourne is the only city in the county that pays from its annual budget to address homelessness. And it supports a case manager, and we have a master's level mental health professional, street outreach specialist that's funded from those funds working in downtown Melbourne. That's the kind of investment that makes a difference, but it needs to be expanded.
Well, and again, we in the city of Melbourne, we have an issue where, again, if a lot of people come to this area, and again, it's the only way I believe this will work is if we have it's two phases. It's one, the comprehensive facility where you can go, and number two, the strict enforcement on our laws and et cetera, because at the end of the day, no offense to Daily Bread, but you guys serve amazing food. You're going to get people that come and eat. I mean, seriously, why would I go to another city when I can go down to Melbourne and I can get I have I can get Daily Bread. I got clothes. I got this. At the end of the day, because it's being piecemealed, and at the end of the day, that we have to look at that too, because whenever you have that kind of infrastructure that we kind of have piecemealing, lots going out, and lots coming in, lots going out, and it's everybody has to be on board. Otherwise, and I'll bring this up now. We'll discuss another podcast about some of the enforcement that the city of Melbourne is doing when it comes to some of the safe streets ordinance that we put in effect. That's that I've received a lot of pushback, which is I have no problem. At the end of the day, I'm working one day when I'm done with politics. I'm going to be a professional wrestler, and hopefully I'm a villain. So I'll take the negative comments all day long. So I have no problem with that. So we just have it's a tough decision to make. I mean, but we have to have rules, and again, our residents, and I get contacted by many. They want clean streets. They want their kids to be able to go to parks. They don't want the crack house next door that that people are traveling all night. And as long as I'm mayor, we're going to have strict enforcement. But I will tell you, there is a side of me that understands that with that strict enforcement, you have to have an out. You have to have a place to go. You have to have strong community partners like the Daily Bread, and give people the opportunity to go that route, because anybody could be put in a bad position and be homeless. I mean, anybody could. And so I know some people just see the side of me of the strict enforcement, but Jeff, you and I have conversations, and we want to give people the opportunity to lift themselves up.
Everybody in our community benefits by safer streets, including people who are homeless, especially homeless people. The emphasis on safety is helping everyone. The people that are most vulnerable are the ones that are outside tonight. And you talked earlier about having expectations on folks, and I would call it hope. We don't. You talked about people waking up, and we don't want people to be stuck. And I like that phrase, waking up, because we see it happen when people see movement. That it is possible to get off the streets. Sure. That Daily Bread or another agency was able to help somebody get off the streets. Now I hope it might be true for me. That person who maybe you talked to a few months before, and they said, no, I'm fine, thanks, I don't really want any help. Now they see friends or getting help, and they see that it might be possible for them too. They see that other challenges for that other person had been overcome. they start to hope. They start to have expectations. I have yet to find that person who really is satisfied with staying stuck on the street.
Right.
When an alternative, a realistic hope is offered, people are up for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we have a being where we are with the economic development. People have a golden opportunity that if they get they get some job training, they can move up. This whole thought process is I'm stuck. You may be stuck, but you can get up. I mean, you can go out and get a job and work your way up. And I always tell people, I had somebody the other day said, called me privileged. They said I was privileged, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Look, I grew up in a rural road trailer park. I was fortunate enough to move to Sherwood Park, and to the point where my dad passed away when I was 18, I had nowhere to go. I slept on my cousin's couch, so I went in the military. So I've started businesses. I've done very well, and it's the hard work, and anybody can do that. I mean, and there were people that were inspirational to me at times and got me on the right path when I kind of needed help. And I'm hoping to be that person with you, Jeff, and that we could be that person. When you think about the traditional family and the mom and the dad, they both played two different roles. And normally, mom says, look, honey, you need to do this. And if you don't, I'm going to tell your father, and you don't want your father to find out. So we have, we need to work that role, and we will, through a city and our community partners to get that done. But again, I want to stress on my first podcast, and it's really a plea to other cities that please join us on this and getting a comprehensive facility and working with our community partners so we can solve this problem and make it better. Because again, at the end of the day, to see some of the people you and your organization has put into homes, and it's like being born again. And it's something that makes this job rewarding, all our jobs. So so again, I appreciate everything that you've done, Jeff, and your organization and all our community partners. And we have a special community. But again, at the end of the day, it's time to rock and roll and get this done.
Yes, let's do it. It's a lot more fun when we do it together.
Yeah,
that's going to be exciting to see what's possible.
And and I've always liked the old cliche: many hands make little work.
Yeah.
So if we're all doing our part and we could all contribute even the littlest bit, a 10-month donation every, a $10 donation every month. Little things like that just go a long way. I mean, I can't stress enough that even if like the UNICEF and some of the other commercials, for 30 cents a day you can feed a kid. Well, it's very similar here. I mean, the food cost isn't horrible. And to get 3 squares shouldn't really cost $25 a person. So if we all can help that, and again, any little way, lifting a finger, come and help in serving food or whatever else. We all have talents. You just don't know. So I would implore anybody listening to this message tonight, reach out to Jeff, go find him and his team, and see exactly what you can do. You just never know how many gifts are there, and of course, giving of yourself is it's the biggest reward, right?
And if it's all right, I'm looking at some of these comments, and I want to address some of the comments.
Let's do that.
I'm looking at some of these comments, and one of the things that Cynthia Dell says, the resources act like they can help, but they don't. And you know what? That's one of the reasons we called for that special workshop on homelessness, because we kind of, and I said, I was kind of blunt that night. Look, we're coming in here with a clean slate, and we got work to do. So, I hear that complained a lot. And you would probably agree with me, Jeff. Some organizations are better than others. And I will have to agree with that. I mean, there's some organization. There's a lot of private organization with the churches. Churches do an amazing thing. But how do people get to know, or how do they get in contact with the church? I mean, they got to almost be lucky to say, hey, I think I know a church. And I'll tell you a quick story. It's amazing. I remember being a young kid in Sherwood Park, and it like, I think it was like 77, 78. I was a kid, like 7 or 8 years old, and I'll never forget. It might have been 81, but I was young, like 10 years old, and I'll never forget. The family didn't eat for like a day and a half, and I remember I was hungry, and I knew I was hungry, and I'll never I'll never forget, but the church that is on Post Road dropped a big bag of food off, and we ate that, and I've never forgot about that. It's like, that meant more to me as a kid, because it was like soup, beans, and I got to eat, and again, it was that small church that made a big impact, and they do. So, but having that kind of comprehensive facility where all the resources are like a net, you know where to go. It's like the city website. You need to be able to go on a city website and say, I need assistance, and you go there, and it's on there now. And we have a lot of work to do to refine that, but there has to be communication. And again, I appreciate that comment. I think it's a very valid comment.
It's a valid comment. I think it's an important one. It gets to the heart of what we're talking about now. And I wouldn't want anybody to hear what I'm saying, like, yes, we helped 300 people over the last 3 years get into a place, without the follow-up, which is we needed to help twice as many. There's a lot more that we need to help. That's why we're trying to do this effort. It's not enough what we're doing right now. There are a lot of people in need that we're not able to help. It's the saddest part of my job that I have to deal with every day. I often tell people we're happy to help in the ways that we can. Right. We wish we could do more. I'm happy that we're talking together about how we can make that happen.
When I'm there at Daily Bread helping out, I'm kind of amazed to see when somebody walks in and they feel like the way you address people, and they're, Jeff, they're happy to see you, and that's the kind of continuum of care that is needed by people sometimes, and I think that's special. That's why government's not good at doing really anything, in my opinion. I'm just being honest with you. So, and they're not good for solving homelessness. It's kind of set a regulatory standard and kind of get things moving and make it easy for private industry, but also help our nonprofits. But again, at the end of the day, government needs to get better, because we're the ones that's got to, be responsible for our parks and our police and our fire and provide, clean streets. I mean, as mayor, if you were to ask me, what, I'm just at awe. I mean, the City of Melbourne, somebody may yell at me, but we have 900 and something employees. I mean, we have nearly 90,000 residents, and my personal cell phone number is on the city website. I mean, because I want to be accessible to people, and I try to answer and do the best I can. I make a whopping $10,000 a year, and I donate that back in the community. So it's really a tough position, but again, you got to do it from your heart, and you got to get with people like you and our other community partners to get things done. But, I appreciate all the feedback people give me. I get emails all day long. And if I wish I could do one thing, is I could be more responsive to some of the questions, but there's just so many, and I try, and our staff is hopefully working on, solving some of these issues with me. And again, that's where I stand,
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been, I think, very enlightening, even for me, because I haven't known all the things that you've done. So even I've learned something tonight, Jeff. So thanks so much for joining us. Mayor, any closing remarks? So we were coming up on the hour. Can you believe an hour has already flown by?
It did go quickly. It did go quickly. It's fun and exciting to talk about these possibilities. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I got to say is, the City of Melbourne will continue to work hard to solve this problem. It's going to be brought in front of council tomorrow on some of the discussion on the $1.5 million in affordable housing. There's some plots of land I've looked at that we need to have some good, more affordable housing. We see it popping up now here and there, but we got to try to do better. And I want nice affordable housing. I mean, we don't, when sometimes you think about affordable housing, you think of, the old movie New Jack City, and you know what I mean. So, but that's not what to me affordable housing is. So, I can promise our residents that you're going to hear more of me on Mondays, and we're gonna talk issues and problems and solutions and really wins and everything. So to me, this will kind of be a no holds barred. I'll take pretty much any question, and I'm sure I'll take my lumps here. But at the end of the day, hopefully, I do know one day my mayor tenure will end, and maybe I'll be able to go fishing. I don't know.
There you go.
So,
do you want to share your email for anybody who would like to offer a topic or a recommendation or input?
Yeah, you can. The city. You can go to my city on the City of Melbourne, Florida website. It's paul.alfrey@mlbfl.org, and also my other email is Alfrey ALFREY345 at Yahoo, and that's on my Facebook page. I mean, either one. So, and most people, they'll call me as well. But again, we got a lot of work to do, and I appreciate Jesse you producing this and doing this, and And I appreciate you, Jeff. I mean, I called you at the last minute, and one thing I love about you and your organization is that it was a while back when the lady was in the in Florida today about the woman living in her car, and Lori was her name, and was in the City of Melbourne, and she lived behind a restaurant. I tell everybody, I tell the local elected officials at other cities, I'm like, what organization went out there and got her out of the car and helped her get into somewhere? Daily Bread. And you were responsive and jumped. And John Torres from Florida Today, he was like, yep, well, Jeff's on it. I'm like, yep. And that's the organization we need to help provide for our residents. And again, I can't say how much of a great job you're doing, but I want to thank you and your organization from the bottom of my heart.
Well, I appreciate that so much, Paul. We've got a long way to go, but the encouragement means a lot.
Yeah. Well, this has been the first episode of your Melbourne Mayor Monday. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And until next week, every Monday at 7. We hope to see you next week. Take care, guys.